This video explains how to draw a disproportionate sample from a data frame using the R programming language. So without too much talk, let's dive into the R code. In this video I will show you an example, and for this example we first need to create a data frame, as you can see in lines 2 and 3 of the code. So after running these lines of code, a new data set is appearing at the top right of RStudio, which is called data. And we can have a look at this data frame by clicking on the data, and then you can see that our data frame contains two columns which are called value and group. And the first column contains numbers, and the second column is a group indicator which contains different groups called A, B, C, D and E. Now let's assume that we want to draw a sample from this data set based on different probabilities. Then we first need to create a vector which corresponds to the probabilities in our drawing process. So for this, we first need to create a vector object which is called myProb, as you can see in lines 5 to 9 of the code. And in the first line of this code, I'm specifying that our vector myProb should have a length of 50. And in the first line, I'm specifying that all the values in this vector should be equal to an A. So after running this line of code, a new vector object called myProb is appearing at the top right of RStudio. And then in the next lines, in lines 6 to 8 of the code, I'm specifying the probabilities based on which I want to draw my sample. So in this case, I'm specifying that the groups A and B should be drawn with a probability of 5%. The groups C and D should be drawn with a probability of 10%. And the group E should be drawn with a probability of 70%. So after running these lines of code, our vector of probabilities is updated, as you can see by printing this vector to the RStudio console by running line 9 of the code. And now you can see that we have created a vector which contains 50 elements, and each of the elements represents a certain probability, and these probabilities correspond to the groups in our dataset. So in the next step, we have to set a random seed to make our example reproducible, as you can see in line 11 of the code. And now finally, we can use the sample function to draw our sample. And within the sample function, I'm specifying that I want to use the vector of probabilities that I have created before as values for the prob argument. And then I'm storing the output of this line of code in a new data set that I'm calling dataSamp. So after running line 13 of the code, a new data set called dataSamp is appearing at the top right of RStudio. And if you click on this data set, a new window is opened. And as you can see, the group E is appearing the most often in our subsample, because this group had the highest probability to be drawn. And the other groups, D and B, are drawn much less frequently. That's all I wanted to explain in this video. In case you want to learn more on this topic, you may check out my homepage, statisticsglobe.com, because on my homepage I have recently published a tutorial in which I'm explaining the content of this video in some more detail. I will put a link to this tutorial into the description of the video, so you can find it there. If you have liked this video, or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. I'll try to respond to all comments as soon as I can. Furthermore, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified about future video releases. I have already published about 500 videos on this channel, and I'm releasing new videos on a daily basis. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.